What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Ben Mahari here, representing Mahari Nation Sports Podcast, much love to the entire LDBC. So let me just get down to the chase here because this is really a breaking news as we're speaking right now. So looks like the Trump supporters are real mad. And what did they decide to do? Well, they just basically decided to storm the U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C. So what am I talking about? Well, let me read this to you. This is according to CNN. Supporters of President Trump have breached the U.S. Capitol, and one woman has been shot as one of the most iconic American buildings is infiltrated in chaos after Trump urged his supporters to fight against the ceremonial counting of the electoral votes that confirmed President-elect Joe Biden's win. Shortly after 1 p.m. Eastern Time, hundreds of pro-Trump protesters pushed through the barriers and set up along the perimeter of the Capitol, where they tussled with officers in full riot gear, and some calling the officers traitors for doing their job. About 90 minutes later, police said demonstrators got into the building and the doors to the House and Senate and were being locked. Shortly after, the House floor was evacuated by police. An armed standoff was taking place at the House front door as of 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and police officers had their guns drawn and someone who is trying to breach it. A Trump supporter was also pictured standing at the Senate dais. A woman is in critical condition after being shot in the chest on the Capitol grounds, according to two sources familiar with the matter. Sources could not provide further details on the circumstances of the shooting. Vice President Mike Pence was also evacuated from the Capitol, where he was to perform his role of the counting of the electoral votes. Video inside the Capitol shows Trump supporters marching through Statuary Hall. The U.S. Capitol Police is asking for additional law enforcement for assistance, including federal authorities, per source familiar. So I'm not going to read too much into the stuff there. You can guys look it up for yourself. I'll just put it up there in the description box. But I'm going to tell you this: this is what we've been trying to tell you guys from the very beginning. Trump is basically trying to circumvent the principles of the U.S. democracy because Trump does not see himself as a president. Just like what Tuwa has been saying for the last 4 years, Trump views himself as a dictator, and he has tried every single method that he has in his disposal to try to overturn the U.S. election. And every single time it has failed. All right. He has tried every single method in the book, and even the U.S. Supreme Court has even said that they were not going to turn the results of the U.S. election. So he is facing the reality that he's lost his election and he doesn't know how to accept this ill. All right. And I'll tell you this right now. This is the beginning of the end of the GOP party as we know it. Because right now, there are a lot of people in the GOP, you know what I mean, the Republican Party specifically, that are basically drawing the lines now. If you're a Republican and you just don't support Trump, you're being viewed as a traitor, you're being viewed as a sellout. And if you support Trump and you're a Republican, you're basically viewed as a racist. Okay? So let me explain it to you like this, okay? The bottom line is this: we are looking at a very hostile time in this country. Okay, people are just so mad, they are just beyond living. All right, you know what I mean. Everything that has happened so far is because all the racial tensions has been building up for the last 4 years, and Donald Trump, what he's done, he's basically threw more fuel to the fire and just basically burn it into a huge inferno that is going to take decades to put out. All right, so let me just put it like this, okay? This is something that we've been talking about for the last 4 years. All right, Donald Trump and his supporters, they're just blatantly racist. We all know this. All right, but the way that they play these double standard games to try to confuse the American public just confirms you a lot more about where these people are coming from. Imagine if the Black Lives Matter movement did the exact same thing that they're doing right now as we're speaking in Washington. Man, we would see images of the civil rights movement right in front of our eyes. Okay, so the important thing that we're going to need to understand is that these people are running desperate. They are basically a disease in this country that needs to be exterminated from. And you know what? I don't feel sorry for them whatsoever. None. They are just basically locusts that need to be exterminated completely. All right. And considering the fact that they've inside the Republican Party has lost some seats in the Senate right now, this is starting to become this is turning into the tide into the possible extinction as a party. If they're ever going to try to, revitalize themselves again, they're going to need to wash the complete stink of the racism and the bigotry that's infected this party for the last 4 years. And you could say for the last decade, however you want to put it. All right. And don't think for a second that the Democrats are no better either. They're still bad as well, but they're bad in a different way. But we're sticking to the subject in hand here. These guys are just idiots. They're bigots, and at the end of the day, they can cry as much as they want to, but they're gonna have to see the reflection on the mirror. Okay. The bottom line is their soul-hearted God, their leader, they have lost. They've lost, and they're sitting around here crying, like saying this was basically a conspiracy and all that. When you could pretty much say that the 2016 election was pretty much rigged for Donald Trump to win, thanks to thanks to spies in the Russian government. And we all know this. I'm not going to try to go, back and forth on this. Don't even try to start that with me. So they could go ahead and they could basically cry and they could basically try to, force themselves in. But it really exposes the reality of the double standards and racism that we're seeing in this country right now. Imagine if Black Lives Matter did the exact same thing that these pro-Trump groups are doing right now. I'm just saying, it just is what it is right now, you guys. So it is what it is, but they could basically cry about it all day long, but they're just going to have to start facing the reality of the situation. Their whole leader lost, and he's going to have to really face the music because right now he's still got his subpoenas that he's going to have to answer to New York as well. And all the pending lawsuits filed on him, I'm telling you, he is about to be hit hard in the worst way. Do I expect him to go to jail? No, but it's really going to get bad for this man. I'm just letting y'all know. So that's just my 2 cents. Let me know what you think. And with that, I'm out. Peace.